When I slapped the transfer student across the face, the entire class went silent. Just moments earlier, she had publicly accused me of being kept by some old man. My childhood friend immediately stepped in to protect her. So in the heat of it, I slapped him, too. The whole class gasped. Ryan covered his cheek, his eyes filled with shock, anger, and something I couldn't quite read. Maybe doubt. Jessica screamed. How dare you hit Ryan, you violent freak. Don't, I said, my voice steady, even though my pulse was still racing. I train, yes, but I'm not looking for a fight. What she did was humiliating and I reacted. I'm not proud of it, but I'm also not going to stand here and be slandered. Finally, the home room teacher pushed through the crowd. Stop it, Emma. How could you hit someone? Teacher, I said calmly, publicly slandered me, accusing a female classmate of being kept in front of everyone is bullying. According to School Rules, Chapter 5, Article 12, severe cases warrant disciplinary action. I was defending myself. Verbal attacks are still harmful. The teacher was speechless. I turned to look at Jessica, who was still sobbing. Classmates, I said, there are 40 students in our class. 35 of us have drivers who pick us up. By Jessica's logic, are we all being kept by someone? A few students quietly drifted away, unsure what to do with the tension. I continued. Jessica, if something's going on in your life, you could have talked to someone instead of making accusations in front of everyone. But don't try to fix your situation by tearing someone else down. You're lying, Jessica shouted, her face turning bright red. I haven't. Oh. I stepped closer. Then why do you think I have? Is it your imagination, or are you just repeating the kind of rumors people love to spread? Ryan tried to speak, but I lifted a hand. Ryan, stop. Then I looked him straight in the eyes. From today on, we're done. 15 years of friendship, and you took her side twice publicly. That's not something I'm pretending didn't happen. Right on cue. The bell rang. I walked back to my seat, grabbed my backpack, and headed out. As I passed Jessica, I lowered my voice so only she could hear. Next time, before you throw dirt on someone, check the license plate first. That Audi belongs to my dad's driver. And if you want to play detective behind trees, remember cameras exist everywhere. Jessica's face went pale. I smiled once, small, controlled, and walked out. Under everyone's stares, I rubbed my stinging palm. I hated that it came to this, but I was done being treated like a target. Soon my best friend Sarah texted me. Heard you smack Jessica. I'm at the convenience store, buying you an ice-cold Coke to celebrate your freedom. I replied while walking downstairs, my steps light. Behind me I heard Ryan chasing after me. Emma, wait. I didn't turn around. Some lines once crossed don't deserve a rewind. Some people once lost shouldn't be picked up again. At the convenience store entrance, Sarah was waiting with 2 ice-cold Cokes. Her uniform jacket hung loosely, her short hair streaked with purple, one of the few students at our school bold enough to do that. Her dad was on the school board. Yeah, girl, Sarah said, shoving a Coke into my hand and clinking cans with me. I heard the commotion all the way from class 3. Our homeroom teacher's foghorn voice had the whole floor shaking. He's just loud, I said. Sarah's eyes lit up. Give me details. Is Jessica's face swollen? Did Ryan still protect her? I took a long gulp of Coke, the icy sweetness sliding down my throat. You can see the handprint. And Ryan's the same as always. Think she's innocent and pure, and that I'm just some hothead. Sarah snorted. Did he misplace his common sense? Jessica's act is so obvious, it's hard to take seriously. Just then my dad called. Emma, he said, Mr. Wilson said someone was hiding behind a tree, taking photos of you this morning. Do you want me to handle it? It's fine, Dad. I said, just classmates acting stupid. I don't want to escalate it. It's that transfer student. She's got issues. He was quiet for a couple of seconds. Do you need me to talk to the school? No, I can handle it. After I Hung up. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Your dad knows. Mr. Wilson reported it. I shrugged. You know him. He can't stand nonsense. Sarah suddenly leaned in, lowering her voice. Speaking of which, I dug up some dirt. She pulled a tablet from her bag and opened a few photos. Jessica transferred here from Lincoln. Hi, right? I had someone ask around at her old school. The photo showed Jessica in an obviously ill-fitting old uniform, head down, standing among well-dressed students. Her family struggling. Sarah said her parents run a small grocery store and no money. She transferred because she couldn't stay at Lincoln. Supposedly there were incidents, missing things, complaints, but nothing ever became official because there was no proof. Then transfer. I stared at the image. It was hard to connect that cowering girl with the self-righteous Jessica from homeroom, so she came here to climb, I said quietly. Sarah put the tablet away. Our school's full of rich kids. She probably figured she could latch on to someone with status and solve her problems. Ryan's family isn't top tier, but it's enough for her to jump social circles. Footsteps approached from behind. Sarah and I both turned around. Ryan stood about 15 feet away, faint red marks still on his face. His expression was complicated as he looked at me. Emma, he said. Let's talk. Sarah rolled her eyes, but I stopped her with a hand. Talk here, I said. Say what you need to say in front of Sarah since you had no problem taking Jessica's side in front of the whole class. Ryan's jaw tightened. He glanced at Sarah like she was a witness in court. He didn't want. Emma, you went too far, he said, voice slow. You hit her. You hit me. I let out a small laugh that didn't carry any humor. You're right. I did. Sarah leaned against the convenience store wall, arms crossed, expression sharp. Look at him. He came all the way here to lecture you, not to ask if you're okay. Ryan's eyes flicked back to me. I'm not lecturing you. I'm trying to keep you from getting in trouble. The teacher was furious. The school can't just what? I cut in. Can't just admit someone tried to humiliate me publicly. Can't just admit. Gossip is bullying when it's aimed at a girl's reputation. He ran a hand through his hair like he could shake the moment loose. Jessica was worried. She thought she saw something. Worried? Sarah echoed. She stood up in front of 40 people and implied something disgusting about Emma's reputation. That's not worry. That's a performance. Ryan swallowed. She didn't say it like that. I stepped closer until he had to look me in the eye. You heard exactly what she said. For a second, something like doubt crossed his face, thin as paper. Then his expression hardened. Again, like he was choosing comfort over truth. I didn't want things to get ugly, he muttered. They got ugly the moment you decided I needed to prove I was innocent. I said 15 years, Ryan. If you couldn't stand in front of a rumor and say that's not her, then you never knew me. His lips parted like he wanted to argue, but nothing came out. Sarah pushed off the wall. Also, don't pretend you're here because you care about her. Trouble. You're here because your hero fantasy got bruised along with your cheek. Ryan shot her a look. Stay out of make me, Sarah said sweetly. I lifted my hand before it turned into another scene. Enough, Ryan. You want the truth? Here. I pulled out my phone and opened the gallery. The screenshot was clear. Me stepping out of the backseat of the Audi. Mr. Wilson in the driver's uniform, one hand lifted in a casual wave. The license plate was visible. The timestamp sat right there, like a stamp on a lie. Ryan stared at the screen. You didn't even ask, I said quietly. Not once. His gaze flickered, and for the first time the confidence drained out of his face. I didn't. No. That's the point. I slid my phone back into my pocket. You didn't know and you still chose her. Sarah tilted her head. So what now? You going to apologize, or are you still planning to defend Miss Innocent Tears? Ryan swallowed. I didn't mean to. I'm not doing this, I said, stepping back. You came here to feel better about yourself. Not to fix anything. Emma, he said, urgently reaching for my wrist. I pulled away so fast it made him flinch. Don't touch me. We're done. The words landed like a door slamming. His shoulders sagged, but his pride surfaced. Again sharp and ugly. You're really throwing away 15 years over one misunderstanding. I met his eyes. No, Ryan. I'm throwing it away over your choice. And you made it twice. Sarah blew out of breath. Well, that was satisfying. I popped the tab on my Coke and took a long drink. The cold burn steadied me. Sarah leaned in, voice dropping. Now about Jessica. I didn't just ask around. I dug. She pulled the tablet out again, and this time the photos weren't just awkward, they were telling. Jessica in an old uniform that didn't fit right. Jessica standing in the back of a group photo like she'd been pushed there. Jessica's face turned down, shoulders folded in. She looks started different. Sarah finished. Yeah, because she wasn't running the show. There. She was surviving. Sarah swiped to a screenshot of a chat thread. Names were blurred, but the gist was clear. Missing items, rumors, complaints that never became official because no proof. And then transfer. She couldn't stay. Sarah said. So she came here. Rich. School, rich kids, new stage, new target. Ryan's voice came from behind us. Smaller now. You investigated her. Sarah didn't blink. She tried to ruin Emma's reputation in a morning meeting. That's not a misunderstanding. Bad strategy. Ryan looked at me like he wanted me to tell him Sarah was exaggerating. I didn't. I said if she's innocent, she'll be fine. Truth doesn't fear questions. Ryan's face tightened again, and I could practically see the battle in his head. Logic versus the sweet comfort of she's just a fragile new girl. Comfort one. You're all being cool. He said she's trying to fit in. Sarah laughed once, sharp as a snap. So are people with bad intentions. Doesn't mean I invite them in and pretend it's harmless. I turned away from him. Go back to class, Ryan. He stood there like he wanted to say something dramatic. Instead, he left with a stiff, wounded expression that screamed, I'm the victim here. Sarah watched him go, then bumped my shoulder with hers. Good. Let him sulk. Now, listen. She tapped the tablet. Next week is the state physics competition. Training. Guess who signed up? I blinked. Jessica. Sarah grinned. Jessica. Ist her. She can't even pass regular physics without looking like she's wrestling a calculator. Exactly. Sarah said. So she's either way better than she acts, or she's planning something. My coat concrete under my grip. Sarah's smile sharpened. Either way, she picked the wrong person to play games with. 3 days later, the physics competition training room smelled like chalk dust and stress. The seats were nearly full, top students. The kind who carried extra pencils like they were survival tools. Sarah waved at me from the third row, purple streaks in her hair catching the fluorescent light. I slid into the seat beside her and pulled out my notes. And there, 2 rows behind, Jessica sat beside Ryan. Her book was brand new, untouched looking, in that way that screamed bought for an image not used for learning. Her posture was careful, shoulders slightly rounded, eyes soft, like she was trying to look smaller than she was. Ryan leaned in, murmuring something. She nodded like he was the safest thing in the room. My stomach didn't twist, not with jealousy, with disgust at how easy it was. The teacher, Mr. Granger, wrote a problem across the board. Angular momentum. Conservation, he said. Classic high frequency. Let's see who wants to try. Silence held for a breath. Then Jessica raised her hand slowly like a shy volunteer in a charity commercial. Sir, she said softly. I can try if you want. Sarah leaned toward me and whispered. Oh, this is going to be good. Mr. Granger looked surprised. You're the transfer student, right, Jessica? Sure. Come on. Jessica walked to the board with that careful, delicate confidence of someone who had rehearsed the walk-in. Her mirror. She picked up the chalk, stared at the problem for a long moment, then started writing. Her handwriting was neat. Her math was not the first. equation was wrong. The next step didn't follow. Then she used a shortcut that didn't apply and somehow reached an answer so off that a student in the back row let out a quiet cough laugh and immediately tried to hide it. Mr. Granger's face tightened. Jessica, where did you learn this method? Jessica's cheeks flushed. I thought it worked. No, he said flatly, circling her. Mistake. It doesn't. And you can't treat formulas like magic words. You need to derive it. Competition rules. Jessica's eyes watered instantly, tears like reflex. I'm sorry. I just wanted to help. Ryan stood up. Sir, she was just trying. You don't have to embarrass her. Mr. Granger's gaze snapped to him. This is training. Wrong is wrong. Sit down. A ripple of laughter ran through the room, quickly smothered. Jessica walked back to her seat with trembling shoulders, wiping tears like she was wiping guilt. Mr. Granger turned to the class. Who can do it correctly? I raised my hand. Emma, he said, go. I walked to the board, erased Jessica's mess, and rewrote the solution cleanly step by step, every assumption stated, every transformation justified. The jaw clicked steadily like a metronome. When I finished, Mr. Granger nodded. Correct. And that substitution clever. Saves time. I returned to my seat. As I passed Jessica, she murmured, You're really good. I could never be like you. It wasn't loud, but it wasn't quiet either. It was the perfect volume for nearby people to hear and think. Poor Jessica. She tried so hard. I stopped and looked directly at her. If you want to be better, study. Don't weaponize pity. Jessica blinked, surprised I'd said it out loud. Sarah coughed a laugh into her sleeve. Ryan stood up again, anger rising. Emma, sit down, Mr. Granger said, without even looking at him. We're not doing drama today. After class, Mr. Granger stopped me. Emma, stay. When the room emptied, he handed me a sealed packet. Last year's winning paper. Take it. Study it. Thank you, I said. He hesitated, then added. And keep your distance from that transfer student. Her focus isn't learning. People like that trip themselves eventually, but they take others down on the way. I tucked the packet into my bag. Understood. In the hallway, Ryan caught up to me. Smelled faintly like vanilla, sweet, lingering, and strangely irritating in the moment. Emma, he said, grabbing my wrist. Just 5 minutes. I jerked my arm free. No, she's having a hard time, he insisted. You don't have to keep attacking her. I stared at him. Refusing to play along isn't an attack. She's new, he said. She's sensitive. Sensitives don't hide behind trees. Taking photos, I said, and watched the color drain from his face. He froze. What? I pulled up another screenshot. The forum post. Anonymous account. Freshly registered. Title, Tea about a top student's private life. No name, but anyone could tell who it was about. Sarah had found enough connections to raise serious questions about where it came from. I held the phone up. Want more? Ryan's mouth opened, then closed. His eyes wavered like he was standing at the edge of truth and terrified to step in. She wouldn't, he whispered like a prayer. She already did, I said. And you're still defending her. He exhaled shakily. I don't know what to think. Then think, I snapped. For once I turned to leave. Ryan called after me, voice cracking. What about us? I didn't turn around. There is no us. A week before the competition, my doorbell rang. I was in my room knee-deep in practice problems when my mom's voice floated up the stairs. Too polite, too careful. Emma, someone's here for you. I went down and found Ryan standing in my living room beside his mother. Mrs. Carter was dressed like she'd stepped out of a glossy magazine. Posture perfect, smile practiced. Ryan stood behind her, eyes down like a kid dragged to apologize for breaking a neighbor's window. Mrs. Carter sipped tea and said, Emma, sweetheart, we've known you forever. You're a good girl, a smart girl. This little situation at school, it's gotten out of hand. I didn't sit. I leaned against the doorway. What situation? She smiled wider like she was humoring me. The transfer student. Jessica, she's from a difficult background. She's a bit sensitive, but not malicious. Ryan says, you two have been clashing. Clashing like it was debate club, not a public smear attempt. Mrs. Carter continued, you and Ryan have been friends since you were children. It would be such a shame to throw that away because of someone who won't matter in the long run. My mom hovered nearby, nervous. Emma. I kept my voice even. Mrs. Carter. Jessica implied something disgusting about me in front of my class. Mrs. Carter's smile tightened. And she apologized, didn't she? She didn't, I said. She cried. Ryan flinched. Mrs. Carter set her cup down slowly. Emma. Sometimes young girls say foolish things when they're insecure. You're strong. You can afford to be generous. Generous? I repeated and felt something cold settle in my chest. What you mean is quiet. Her eyes sharpened. Now that's not fair. The front door opened then, and my father walked in. He took one look at the living room and said, come, but heavy. What's going on? Mrs. Carter brightened. Mr. Reed. Hello. I was just trying to smooth things over between the kids. My dad looked at me. Am I? Explained briefly. The accusation. The photos behind trees. Ryan defending her. The forum post. My dad listened without interrupting. Then he turned to Mrs. Carter. Let me be clear. He said my daughter was publicly humiliated. She defended herself. That's not a clash. That's someone trying to damage her reputation. Mrs. Carter's face stiffened. They're teenagers. Teenagers make mistakes. Then teach your son to ask before he sides with a rumor, my dad said. Ryan's head snapped up. Mr. Reed, I never accused. You stood beside the accuser. My dad said, voice still even. That speaks loud enough. Mrs. Carter's composure cracked. Are you saying my son's character is? I'm saying he showed poor judgment, my dad replied. And I'm saying you're trying to pressure my daughter into swallowing it to keep things convenient. Silence hit the room like a weight. My dad stepped aside and opened the front door. Thank you for stopping by. The kids will handle their own relationships. Adults don't need to negotiate it like a business deal. Good night. Mrs. Carter's cheeks flashed. He grabbed her purse, furious. Fine. Come on, Ryan. At the doorway, Ryan looked back at me. His eyes were messy. Regret, anger, pride, something lost. I didn't give him anything. The door closed. My mom exhaled shakily. Emma. My dad put a hand on my shoulder. You did nothing wrong. I nodded, but my chest still felt tight. Upstairs, Sarah texted the second she heard. She always heard. Sarah, I heard his mom came over. How bad was it? Me. My dad walked them out. Sarah, your dad is an icon. Also, Jessica was hanging around the school gate today. Me, why, Sarah? Like she was waiting for someone wearing an angel costume. You know, the innocent girl uniform. I stared at the screen, then typed me. She's not done. Sarah, good, because neither are we. The next day was the autumn sports meet. I signed up for 3 events. The 400 meters high jump and the 4x100 relay. Sarah pinned my number tag to my shirt, biting a safety pin between her teeth. You're insane, she mumbled. You've been doing physics problems until midnight, and now you want to sprint like you're auditioning for a sports movie. Balance, I said, rolling my ankles. Sarah's eyes flicked to the sign-up board. Oh, so that's why. Jessica's name was right next to mine in the 400. She's not competing with you, Sarah said. She's performing in front of Ryan. Across the field, Ryan was warming up with the track team. Jessica jogged over in a brand new pastel set, carrying water like she was someone's supportive girlfriend. Ryan smiled at her. My stomach didn't twist. My stomach went quiet. The starter's pistol fired. I exploded forward. 400 isn't just speed. It's discipline. Bache, breath, timing, knowing exactly when to push and when to hold. Jessica started too hard, like someone sprinting on adrenaline and ego. At the halfway mark, her form broke. At the curve, she slowed like her body betrayed her. I kept steady and surged at the last bend. I crossed. First. The announcer called my time. Jessica came in fourth, barely making the final. She sank to the ground near the track, clutching her side, eyes brimming. Ryan rushed to her like a reflex, handing her water, rubbing her back. Sarah handed me a towel. He looks like her personal assistant. Let him, said, wiping sweat off my forehead. I'm busy winning. High jump drew a crowd. Jessica showed up in a short skirt set that looked more like a photo shoot than an athletic uniform. Boys stared. Girls whispered. She smiled shyly like she didn't notice any of it. We started at a low height. I cleared easily. Jessica cleared too, but sloppy barely. At 1:50 it came down to just the two of us. Jessica ran, jumped, hit the bar hard, and landed awkwardly on the mat. The bar flew. She lay there, gasping, then immediately grabbed her ankle. Ow, cried, tears appearing like she'd flipped a switch. It hurts, Ryan sprinted onto the mat area. Jess, are you okay? I watched her through half-lit eyes. Her expression was arranged perfectly. Pain, vulnerability, shame. The kind of pain that demanded comfort and attention. The kind of pain that always made Ryan feel important. When she tried to stand, she leaned heavily on him. Emma is amazing, Jessica said through tears, loud enough for nearby people to hear. I could never compete with her. Sarah hissed under her breath. Oh my God. I walked over calmly and crouched near Jessica's ankle. Her breath caught. I looked at her ankle for half a second. No. Swelling. No redness. I stood up. You don't look injured. Jessica blinked. Fast. I what? I kept my voice steady. If you're truly hurt, go to the nurse. But don't turn this into a scene. Ryan's face hardened. Emma, she's crying. So I said crying doesn't prove an injury. Jessica's eyes widened, then softened into that familiar wounded look. I didn't want to worry anyone. Then don't announce it, I said, turning away. Don't use it. The final was over. I cleared 1.50 clean. The crowd cheered. Jessica sat on the side with a wrap around her ankle like a prop. Later in the relay, I took the last baton with a lead and extended it into a win so obvious it wasn't even suspenseful. By the end of the day, 3 gold medals clinked against my chest. From the podium, I looked out and saw Ryan at the edge of the crowd. He was staring up at me like he couldn't reconcile the girl he'd known with the story he'd chosen to believe. Jessica sat nearby, wrapped ankle and all, her eyes fixed on me, not innocent now, jealous, sharp hate, dressed up as sadness. I raised my medal slightly, smiled politely, and looked away. The next day, Sarah called me after dinner. Her voice was low and thrilled, like someone delivering a plot twist. She bought something, Sarah said. What? I asked, already knowing the answer in my bones. Smart glasses, Sarah said, from an electronics market. Asked the clerk about exam assist features, and she bought a tiny earpiece. My pen paused over my notebook for the competition. Sarah sent me blurred security stills. Jessica's side profile. A small box in hand. I saved everything. Tomorrow, Sarah added. I'm going to casually mention to a teacher that these tools are going around. Just, a warning. Do it, I said. But don't make it about her. Let the net be wide. Sarah laughed quietly. Oh, it'll be wide. She'll walk into it anyway. The morning of the competition, the exam center looked like a different world. Students from different schools, parents in the distance, air thick with pressure. At the gate, security was intense. Bags checked, metal detectors, pens inspected. Jessica stood off to the side, wearing plain black frames, not the smart glasses. For a moment, I wondered if she'd backed off. Then I noticed the way she held her bag. Careful, protective. Ryan hovered near her like a shadow. I walked past without looking at either of them. In my exam room, the paper was harder than last year, but it was honest. And honest problems don't scare me. I focused. Time Slipped into that silent tunnel where only questions and answers exist. About an hour in, a commotion rippled down the hall. Muffled voices, quick footsteps, a door opening too sharply. I glanced up, just as two proctors escorted someone past the window. Jessica. Her face was white. Her lips were shaking. She looked like someone caught in a trap she built herself. She turned her head at the exact wrong moment. Our eyes met. Her gaze wasn't pleading. It was accusing, like I had reached into her bag and planted her choices there myself. I stared for one beat. Then I looked back, down and kept writing. After the exam, the hallway buzzed with rumor before it even reached the exit. They caught someone cheating. Smart glasses, micro earpiece like spy stuff. Who? I heard. It was a transfer student. Jessica. Something. Sarah waited at the stairwell, practically vibrating. Did you see it? She whispered. I saw her, I said. Sarah grinned. They made her take off her glasses. One of the proctors noticed the frames were thicker than normal. When they checked, there was a camera module. Then she panicked and dropped the earpiece. I exhaled slowly so it wasn't even subtle. Sarah lifted her hands. He did it to herself. Outside, Ryan came, charging toward me like he'd been running on pure denial. His face was red, eyes wild. Emma, he shouted, grabbing my arm. I pulled away. Immediately. Don't touch me. His voice shook. Did you tell them? Did you report her? I stared at him. You think the only way someone gets caught is because I reported them? She wouldn't do this, he insisted like he could rewrite reality by repeating it. Ryan, I said, exhausted. They found a camera in her glasses. His jaw clenched. She was under pressure. Her family. She needed this. And I snapped. So pressure makes cheating okay now? He flinched like I'd slapped him again. I stepped closer. Voice controlled. You want someone to blame because your story about the innocent transfer student collapsed. Don't look at me. Look at her choices. Ryan's breathing went shallow. You're heartless. No, I said, opening my car door. I'm just not gullible. Sarah leaned in through the open door, smiling like a blade. Also, if you're done playing her defense team, we have a life to get back to. Ryan stood there, frozen as the car pulled away. By Monday, the decision was official. The homeroom teacher walked in, expression grim, and announced the disciplinary action. Competition disqualification. Major demerit probation. The classroom exploded into whispers. Jessica's seat was empty. At break, Ryan slammed his hand on my desk so hard my pencil jumped. You're happy now? He demanded, voice ragged. She might get expelled. I closed my vocabulary book calmly. I'm not happy. I'm not anything. She did what she did. Sarah appeared behind him, like a storm. If you're looking for someone to blame, try the mirror. Ryan's eyes were bloodshot. Those posts online, those videos, someone leaked everything. Her whole life is ruined. I looked up. Slowly. Her life isn't falling apart because someone told the truth. It's falling apart because she tried to build a future on lies. He stared like he couldn't breathe. Then his voice cracked. We've known each other forever. How can you be so cold? I stood up and the chair legs scraped the floor loud, enough to quiet the nearby desks. Because I grew up, I said. And you didn't. I walked past him. He followed, reaching again instinctively. I turned, eyes hard. Touch me again, Ryan, and I'll report it. Don't grab me. Stopped like my words were a wall. Later, that afternoon, the principal called Ryan into the office. He came back pale, shoulders collapsed. He found me in the hallway, voice barely above a whisper. She said she told them I encouraged her, that I helped. I blinked once and they want my parents, he said, panic rising. They want a statement. Emma, please tell them I didn't. I cut him off. I can't. His eyes widened. What? I wasn't there when you talked to her, I said. I don't know what you did or didn't say. And even if you didn't help, you defended her every time she targeted me. You made excuses for her. That's not innocence, Ryan. That's participation. His lips trembled. But our friendship. I tilted my head. You mean the friendship you traded for someone who needed you to feel like a hero? He looked like he'd been punched in the chest. Sarah walked up beside me and said brightly, "Oh, look, consequences." That week Ryan's parents showed up at school. There were raised voices behind office doors. There was crying. There was bargaining. And then quietly, like a bad smell trying to slip out of a room, the rumor spread. Ryan was transferring. Not long after, Jessica withdrew voluntarily. The school kept it polite on paper. Reality was less polite. On the last day before winter break, my competition results came back. First place. The counselor handed me the confirmation envelope for the recommendation slot. I signed and the weight of it felt like freedom. Sarah met me in the stairwell and grabbed both my shoulders. You did it. I exhaled slow and steady. Of course I did. She studied my face. Do you feel anything about them? I thought about Ryan's red-marked cheek, his mother's forced smile, Jessica's terrified glare as she was escorted out. Then I shook my head. I feel relieved, I said. That's. Sarah smiled softly. You're scary when you're calm. I'm not calm, I said, and tucked the envelope into my bag like it belonged there. I'm just done wasting energy. On the first day of winter break, my dad drove me to the airport for an academic camp. Before I went through security, he squeezed my shoulder. Keep your head high. Always. I nodded. I learned from you. As I walked away, my phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. Sarah, FYI, Ryan tried to get your number from me. I said, no. He's apparently in the city. Might try to apologize in person. Me if he shows up, I'm not stopping. Sarah, some apologies come too late. And some lessons don't need a second chance to stick. When the camp ended, I did see him at the airport near the arrivals. Got the thinner, worn-out eyes, desperate, like he'd been living inside regret. Stepped forward. Emma, I didn't slow down. He hurried to block my path. Boy, shaking 5 minutes, please. I just want to say I'm sorry. I looked at him, really looked at the boy who'd been my shadow for 15 years, now a stranger, wearing the consequences of his own choices. Say it, I said. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I should have believed you. I should have protected you. Okay, I replied. His face fell. That's it, I said. You said you were sorry, I heard you. His eyes turned red. We can't go back. Back to what? I asked, voice even. Back to you letting someone humiliate me while you stood there. Back to you needing to feel like the hero so badly. You forgot who you were supposed to be loyal to. He looked down, trembling. I stepped around him. Ryan, you can rebuild your life. You can start over. I'm not stopping you. He lifted his head, hope flickering, but you don't get to start over with me. I finished. I'm not your reset button. Behind me, he called my name once, soft, broken. I didn't turn around. Outside, Mr. Wilson waited with the car. I slid into the back seat, stared out at the moving lights, and felt the last of the old mess finally loosen from my chest. Some people spend their whole lives begging to be seen. Others build themselves into something impossible to ignore. I rested my head against the window and let the city blur past. My road was clear now, and I wasn't looking